Welcome back to the channel. Just wanted to give you guys a quick look inside my 55 Chevy wagon and show you what I've been dealing with lately. Welcome back to the channel, and I wanted to show you guys, give you a quick look at what I've been working on the last week or two. And this is an aftermarket tilt steering wheel that replaced the factory one. Now, and you see I've got the turn signal lever isn't in here right now, but you can see the tilt mechanism is coming out straight from the housing as it should, just like the, and this is where the turn signal connects. It attaches there and comes out straight too. Well, a funny thing happened while I was working on the other side, the passenger door, while I was working on these stinking gauges. Somehow this housing got turned about 15 degrees. So the turn signal and the tilt mechanism were up like this. And I don't remember grabbing on it and pulling, but apparently something did, and somehow I twisted the column. Now, it shouldn't do that, of course. Now, the column is mounted down here underneath this chrome cover. There's a saddle that it sits in and bolts up under the dash, and it shouldn't move. Well, that's the theory anyway. All right, so this down here is the only mount that's holding it. There's nothing down at the floor, and in most aftermarket, in the case of most aftermarket steering columns, they have a floor plate that secures it right before it goes out. The steering column goes out to the gearbox. It's secured down there. This one does not have that, and I might need to. Well, I couldn't. I've taken the steering wheel off, obviously. This is the horn, and you can see all the mechanism in there. And this is for the horn. It rides on this little spring-loaded contact, and that copper ring provides 12 volts through this, up through this hole. And so then your wire, or a spring-loaded gizmo, sits in here, and then the wire comes out and comes up to your back of your steering wheel. It comes out to the back of your steering wheel, and then you connect it to your horn button. This is the steering wheel adapter. It's a pretty good size one. It'll take a 6-hole steering wheel, which is what I have. But I had to get this off, so I had to use a puller, naturally, and it came right off. All right, let's go over here and look at the gauge cluster. Now, these are all 2-inch gauges, which Sun Pro, they're a decent brand. All right, now you see how these gauges are oriented so that they sweep left to right. And it's kind of bass-backwards the way a lot of other gauges are, but that's the design. Now, you see how their gauges are they're properly oriented in the bezel. Well, when I got this thing, the gauges were all turned 180 degrees around. All the gauges, the scale on the gauges was all upside down compared to what they are now. And when I got in it, I'm thinking, wow, these are crazy looking gauges. And, I didn't have my reading glasses, and I couldn't see the scale to figure out what was going on. So once I got it home and started investigating a little closer, I found out that the damn gauges were upside down in the bezel. So I took the bezel off. Now I'm going to replace this. I've got some auto gauge 2 5/8 inch gauges. Basically, it's going to be the same 3: oil, pressure, temperature, and voltage. And it's a bigger chrome bezel. Chrome is my preference, so I've got to put those in. Now on my 55, I changed out the ammeter in that gauge cluster I had under the dash with a vacuum gauge, And I will tell you, I highly recommend a vacuum gauge on your car. It is a good indicator of when you're missing. You know, I mean, you can do a lot of diagnosis, and actually it helps with your mileage too. Because if you're running down the highway, you'd be surprised how much you can adjust your use of the throttle and try to save a little gas maybe. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it. I'll see you next time with another installation from the Shade Tree Garage. Take care.